all they want is something to go to the next step, because they're not trained to think, they're trained to not think. And they have no interest in even grasping, when you say, what's the evidence that this person is a taxpayer or whatever, they don't even have an interest in knowing what you just asked them. They just want to know, what do I say that goes to the next step, so I can put a little check in the box that said I did that. And go. It's so pathetic, the level of brain activity, or lack thereof, that goes on in there. I don't even think it's careful conniving. It's just they don't think at all, and they don't want to. And so they'll intentionally not get anything that you say or ask that'll make them think.
Kurt, do you think that, now I agree with what Larken's saying, I think, but however, I don't think it's as complete. I think it's too great a generalization. Would you agree that there are a lot of the low-level moronic ones that actually believe this stuff?
That actually believe
that they're the good guys and that you are subject to the tax whether they can explain it or not?
I think there are a lot of them, yeah. That they're the good guys? Yeah.
Yeah, I tend to, in my experience, that I believe that there are a lot of the low-level flunkies.
Or regardless of whether they're the good guys or not, I think maybe it's just like, well, the whole, I'm just doing my job, man,
Well, yeah, in my experience, and I've dealt with quite a few of these people, that the low-level guys, they may not be able to articulate why they think you owe taxes. They can't explain to you the thought process other than like what Larken, you said that that's just what they were told to do. They can't actually produce any facts or show how the law is applicable at all, the law in general. But they believe that taxes are moral and that you have to do this and that we should do that, and that they believe you actually have an obligation to pay them. Now, I don't think the judges, for the most part, believe that stuff, because I think they have a little more understanding of what's going on. I don't think so at the lower level, though, and I think that's where you have a real problem. They actually believe it.
I think they all believe it all the way up into the courts, because when I look at, there's a zillion arguments out there about the income tax that I think are completely incorrect, and I look at how the government responds to them. And I think, why did you do such a lousy job when you actually could have rebutted this? I know the citations in the court cases that show that this guy's particular argument is wrong, and all of their responses show they don't even want to be bothered having to point out why someone's actually wrong. They just want to say, oh, you're bad and wrong and you owe and it's frivolous and bad things will happen to you if you don't do as you're told. Even when they could have presented an actual argument, actually addressed what somebody said. And that's what tells me that top to bottom, they just don't care. They're all just sort of and I think, you get into the Supreme Court and stuff, they know enough that they're a little bit more careful about what they say. But even in my case, the judge, he didn't know anything about tax law, and he didn't care. He just, anything he has to say to make it go away. And I think it's true even when they could have had a perfectly rational rebuttal to someone's argument, they still hardly ever do that. And I think that's not the way. They don't think like rational beings where someone asks them a question, they try to answer it. Someone asks them a question and they try to do something that makes the question go away.
And that happens a lot. But I may have mentioned on the show before that when you, like this morning, and with the head of the assistant director of the Kentucky Department of Revenue, he told me flat out, like, that he was bewildered. He had no idea what I was talking about. He says, I don't know what you mean. What are you asking me? I said, I'm asking for evidence, but I want to explore that a little bit more and why the resistance when we get back. My name is Marc Stevens, and joining Kurt Tischer and I today on the Nose Day Project, of course, is Larken Rose, and we'll be back in just a moment. Don't go away. Welcome back to the No State Project. I'm your host, Marc Stevens. And before I forget, I want to make sure that everyone knows to go to markstevens.net, that I have a number of workshops coming up. The Lowell, Indiana workshop for next week, May 22nd. Seats are filling up quick, so definitely go to markstevens.net. Use the donation button to sign up for that. And I'm looking forward to seeing everybody out there. Also, you can get details at markstevens.net. I've been invited to speak at the We Are Change Utah, and it'll be at the end of July. I think it's the last weekend in July. And the PorkFest 2010, which is going to be next month, the week of June 23rd to the 27th, and I'm going to be doing a workshop on that Friday. I think that's the 25th, June 25th. So the seats are filling up pretty quick, and that we're kind of limited to only about 30 seats. So you definitely want to go and sign up for that. You can go to the PorkFest link on the website, and you can get to that. I think you actually have to go through. And there's a link on the Facebook that Sovereign Curtis, who was on a few weeks ago, has to sign up for that. So don't forget about that. Also, Brave New Books. I'm coming back to Austin. Really looking forward to that. I'm going to be at Brave New Books on the. We're going to have a kind of a free introduction on the 9th, Friday, July 9th, and then an all-day workshop the next day. And when we go through the workshops we're working and primarily with the script, the criminal script, and the templates. So going through, about avoiding court by filing, the motions and whatnot, and what we do in case the motion's denied, which does happen most of the time, but 75% of the time the cop doesn't show up at the trial anyway. So they get tossed. So remember markstevens.net and get some more information about the workshops. I want to get back into with our guest today, Larken Rose. Welcome back, Larken.
Thanks for having me.
What I was mentioning before is that I've had them tell me they have no idea what I'm talking about when I'm asking for facts. And like Bill Breeze, who's the assistant director of the Department of Revenue, he told me he had no idea what I was talking about. And the questions are, again, are there witnesses with personal knowledge? I'm a taxpayer and have taxable income. And 2, is there legally admissible evidence? I'm a taxpayer and have taxable income. And it's so outside of the realm of how they deal with things. They don't know and understand how to respond to things like that. And what I believe, and I'm asking both of you guys this, so that when they start thinking about these things and they really can't respond if there's any evidence through witnesses, they start to realize they have nothing, and the nature of their job is starting to sink in.
I think it may do that on a mostly subconscious level, because I think why they want a quick way out, something they can say or a form letter they can send or something that they've been trained to spout out, which means I don't have to listen to you anymore or answer any of your questions. I think a piece of their brain gets a glimpse of something's horribly wrong here, and, I don't know what I'm doing, and I don't know what this guy's asking, and I want it to go away. Like I said, their goal is to make the question go away. It's not to answer it, because that would require them actually knowing something and thinking about something. So I do think it's on a certain level, they realize something's horribly wrong, but I think they can usually hide inside their authoritarianism and say, well, I'm just doing my job and I'm doing what I was trained to do, and I certainly wasn't trained to think, so as long as I just do what I was told to do and say what I was trained to say, it's okay. I can't possibly be the bad guy because I'm just doing what I was trained to do. And it makes for just the most surreal, idiotic exchanges, because one person is asking questions and showing evidence and explaining stuff, and the other one's just acting like they can't hear the first one. Like none of it registers, or like they don't speak that language or something, because all they have is the steps that they were trained to do. And that's all they know. That's all they can comprehend, and it's all they want to comprehend. They don't want to understand actual questions and evidence that might mess with what they do on a daily basis.
What do you think, Kurt?
I think that's pretty close. It sounds a lot like what